2020년에 시작해서 1년 반 동안 작업을 했던 유대인 신약성경의 번역 출판 작업. 지난해 10월 이 책이 나온 이후에 저는 이 책을 들고 저자가 살고 있는 이스라엘의 예루살렘 데이비드 H.스턴의 집을 방문한 적이 있었습니다. 한글로 번역된 유대인 신약 성경을 직접 전달해 주기 위해서였죠. 저도 유대인 신약 성경을 쓴 저자를 직접 만나러 간다는 것 때문에 얼마나 마음이 설레었겠습니까? 그런데 안타깝게도 데이비드 H.스턴은 지금 파킨슨씨 병으로 인해서 거의 대화가 불가능했었고요. 그 대신에 그의 부인인 마르타 스턴 씨와 많은 대화를 나누었습니다. 그런데 저는 그 데이비드 H.스턴의 집에 가서 깜짝 놀란 일이 있었는데 그 집의 거실 벽 여기저기에 정말로 아름다운 그림들이 액자에 담겨서 걸려 있었던 것입니다. 저는 데이비드 H.스턴의 부인인 마르타 스턴에게 질문을 했죠. 도대체 이 그림들이 모두 웬 겁니까? 누가 그린 겁니까? 그랬더니 마르타 스턴 그 부인께서 대답하기를 이 그림들 모두 다 제가 그린 겁니다. 심지어는 이 그림들을 모아서 캘린더도 만들었습니다. 이렇게 하면서 저에게 캘린더를 보여주는데 얼마나 참 아름답던지요. 그래서 제가 마르타 스턴 씨에게 또 질문을 했죠. 제가 이 캘린더를 한국에 가져가서 한국어로 번역해서 제작을 해도 되겠습니까? 그랬더니 당연히 그래도 좋다라고 허락을 해 주셨습니다. 말 나온 김에 아예 그 자리에서 계약서도 쓰고 또 로열티도 그냥 선 지불을 한 뒤에 달력을 갖고 와서 저희가 제작을 해서 드디어 이 캘린더가 나왔습니다. 얼마나 아름다운지요. 이 유대인 캘린더 5783년도 달력입니다. 이 달력을 이스라엘에 있는 그 마르타 스턴 씨에게 직접 달려가서 전달해 주고 싶지만 아직까지 그렇게 못했고요. 우선은 영상으로 마르타 스턴 씨와 연결을 해서 이 기쁜 소식을 전해드리고 또 여러 가지 이야기를 나눠보려고 합니다. 마르타 스턴 씨 안녕하십니까?
Yes, I hear you.
지난해 11월 저희가 그 예루살렘에 갔을 때 그 집을 방문했었습니다. 그동안 잘 지내셨습니까?
I've been fine, thanks.
데이비드 H.스턴도 잘 계시죠?
My dear, wonderful husband, David, is, praise the Lord, he's doing as good as he can with his health condition, but yes, he's good too.
옆에 계시면 좀 카메라를 이렇게 돌려서 좀 같이 인사 좀 나눌 수 있게 해주시겠습니까?
Yes, we'd love to have you say hello to him. He's sitting right here, and just 1 minute, take the Kleenex away. David, these are the people from Korea, and they want to see you. So you're going to say hello. See, that's the man from Korea.
안녕하세요.
Can you wave to them?
지금 아이고 이렇게 손을 흔들어 주시네요. 예, 반갑습니다.
So it's early in the morning. He's doing good still.
지금 부인께서 우리 한국의 브래드TV하고 인터뷰하는 거를 남편 데이비드 씨 알까요?
Yes, of course. He's sitting right here with me.
제가 그때 그 작년 11월 달에 그 마르타 스턴 씨, 데이비드 H. 스턴 씨 집에 방문했을 때 놀랬던 것은 집이 아파트예요. 근데 아파트에서 이렇게 창밖으로 내다보는 그 전망이 너무 아름답던데 지금도 이렇게 잠깐 좀 보여주실 수 있습니까? 전망을?
Oh, sure. Why not?
와우. 자, 그럼 이제부터 본격적으로 캘린더 얘기를 좀 해봐야 될 것 같은데 이 캘린더 그림이 너무 아름다워요. 그런데 이 캘린더 그림을 그리게 된 계기가 특별히 있습니까? 아니면은 그냥 그림을 그려놓은 거를 모아서 캘린더를 만든 겁니까? 아니면 캘린더를 만들기 위해서 그림을 그린 겁니까?
I had studied art in college. I had loved doing painting even as a little girl. I had done artwork from the time I was 4 or 5 years old. And I had gone on high school taking art classes, and in college I'd also studied and mainly printmaking. And after I became a Messianic Jew, a believer in Yeshua, in Jesus, somehow all of the style and kind of painting that was what people wanted to do when I studied in art school was just irrelevant. It was all trying to be famous and doing big fancy things that I wasn't interested in. So I pretty much stopped. And then I actually went to a museum course here at the Israel Museum and took a watercolor class, and it kind of got me started again. And I went in New York City to an exhibit of a famous artist, and I saw his paintings, and I thought, oh my goodness, I need to paint again. I'm going to go home, but I am going to do what's really on my heart, and I'm going to paint to show the glory of God. And so I did one picture, and what I did, I went home and I set up a still life that's, not like a painting outside, and it's not a painting of a portrait of people, but it's things, objects. And I'm going to show you a copy of that picture that I painted. And let me see if I can get it close enough. It was apples and pomegranates, and it was in the season when they were ripe. And I said to myself, I want to paint to show the glory of God. And I did 2 apples and 2 pomegranates in the most beautiful way I could. And then shortly after that, it was the holidays. And I thought, oh, I could do this. I'll make some greeting cards for my friends. And I did, I used that one picture, and I did a few more that were related to the holiday. This is Rosh Hashanah, the New Year, and it had honey and apples and things like that. And this one had another one. I did a few watercolors, and I did copies and pasted them on a little card, and I sent them to friends. And then a few months later, when it became Hanukkah, I did another picture, and I did this one that was, again, a still life. I would set it up in my bedroom on a table and just sit and paint what I'd set up. And this is the Hanukkah candles and the menorah that you light the candles and the games that you play with the dreidel. And I did those cards, and I sent it to my friend, who was the person who had published David's books, the publisher, our co-publisher of the Jewish New Testament and his books. And between us, we came up with this idea to do a calendar. So basically, I expanded the idea of what I'd already started with the greeting cards. And I realized every month I would do a still life that matched the holiday for that month. And then I realized the 12 months had enough holidays to fill up eight of the months, but 4 of them were missing a holiday. So I decided to do life cycle events. And I did the breach, is when the baby's circumcised, and a bar mitzvah and wedding. And then I didn't want to do funerals. So I did one more that was different, that was Shabbat. And so that gave me 12 pictures. And my friend Barry Rubin from the Messianic publishers published the calendar in the year 2000.
마르타 씨 그림이 너무 이뻐요. 디테일하고 또 거기에 스토리도 있는 것 같고, 이 그림을 그릴 때 이 소재나 또 영감은 어떻게 구합니까?
Well, as I said, I made the decision to do the calendar based on all the holidays. And in what I wrote in my introduction in the calendar, I said that I thought it was really interesting that I chose each of the events of the holidays, and that each holiday has things that you use as part of it. Like, for instance, with the Hanukkah, you have the Hanukkah candles, you have the Hanukkah lamp, you have things you play with, and games, the dreidel, and every holiday has special things. So it was kind of like, as we say, a no-brainer. It was like the obvious thing to just use the special things from the holidays. The menorah for Hanukkah, the shofar for Rosh Hashanah. And what I said when I wrote my introduction to it, I thought it was really special because each holiday as the holiday comes, you anticipate it, and then you enjoy getting out the special things that you use for that holiday, and they bring back all your fond memories. And some of the things in my pictures even were like candlesticks that had been my grandmother's and things like that, that you when each holiday comes, you think, oh yes, and you welcome them as old friends. And then of course you use them to celebrate the holiday. So I just took the things, and likewise for the other life cycle events, like the Brit, which is the circumcision. In that picture, there's a little kippah, which is the little hat that the boy wears. That was the one that my son Danielle had on his little head when we did his Brit. And each thing is, they're part of our life and our memories. So the things I used are very personal and part of my real life.
그러면 그 절기 그림이나 또 성년식 그림, 또 할례식 그림 이런 거 말고 혹시 예수화를 그리셨거나 또는 또 예루살렘 성을 그리거나 다른 그림도 그리십니까?
It's not normal to paint pictures of God. I mean, that's just not. So I never even thought of trying to paint a picture with Yeshua in it. But if I have painted pictures of also the holidays with people, and I've painted paintings around Jerusalem. And some of my favorite things is to paint pictures from nature and plants and flowers. In fact, I had another series I was doing of each month, the plant that was either the fruit of it that was in season for that month, or the flower, the special flower that was in bloom at that month. Yeah, my son who's sitting here with us, is reminding me that the painting of Jerusalem, which is behind me, and I guess, so that's the painting of Jerusalem that I painted. It's a view of looking at the old city from the Mount of Olives, tip it down. I can show you a couple more that I did. This is a fun picture. It was a bar mitzvah of Yudah. Do you know Yudah, who works in our office? That's Yudah when he was a boy and did a bar mitzvah. And it was a painting I did from his bar mitzvah. This is a painting I did, but it wasn't in Jerusalem, but it was my daughter's wedding. So you can see in it me and my husband David and my father and my daughter Miriam the bride and her husband and his parents and his grandmother.
마르타 씨 그림을 보면 대부분 다 수채화인 것 같아요. 특별히 이렇게 수채화로 그림을 그리는 이유가 있습니까?
Yeah, as I said, I studied printmaking, and that is practically, you need a studio, you need to go somewhere with a big printing press, things like that to do printmaking. Mostly the advantage of watercolor is it's easy, it's small. Well, you can make big paintings too, but it dries fast. It doesn't take up a lot of space. I can set it up on the ones that you have the pictures of. I set up the still lifes just like on a table in a spare room. I just set it up and painted in a room. And I have now a little area with a work table. And when I paint, I just go in that room and paint. And it doesn't, it's not hard. It's easy. I mean, a watercolor is a challenge, and I think I do it nicely, but it doesn't take a lot of space.
지난해 12월에 제가 데이비드 H.스턴 씨 집에 방문했을 때만 해도 캘린더 만들 계획은 전혀 없었어요. 그런데 이제 갑자기 그림을 보고 이걸 우리가 한국에서 캘린더를 만들면 어떨까요? 이렇게 제안을 했을 때 소감이 어떻습니까?
Very, very, very excited and happy. Totally happy.
여기 있는 그 달력 중에 여러 개 그림들이 있는데 이 그림들 중에서 혹시 마르타 스턴 씨가 가장 또 이렇게 아끼는 그런 그림이 있습니까?
They're all my favorites, I have to say. And each time I look at them, and I read what I wrote underneath, because they're all special. I mean, like this is the one for when the tree planting, and the picture, the trowel, the little thing you use for digging was my mother's that she'd given to me. I mean, and you know, the bar mitzvah picture has the tali that Daniel wore for his bar mitzvah, and the candles. It's a special one too. It just has memories and things. So it's hard to choose one. If you'd ask me which is all my paintings, I still have to say I think this one that's my first one is one of my really big favorites.
가격이 좀 어느 정도 하나요?
I don't know. You know what? I always made Xerox. Back in the day, I made Xerox copies of my pictures. I did a series of geraniums, and I did Xerox copies of my pictures and gave them to my friends. And I never sold my paintings. So I don't know. I wouldn't even know what to do. So you'll have to help me. And I tend to make copies of my and keep my originals. And then, and if somebody wanted a special commission, I could do that. But it's a new area for me. But before we stop, I'd love to show you my Noah's Ark painting, which is on the wall. And my son Danielle will take the phone over and show you a couple other of my paintings that are in a different style. They're more what we call naive, which is like more simple. And I will ask Danielle now to take and show you those pictures too.
Now we're walking through the house. Martha, you can turn around so we see you all walking.
So this is a painting I did, Noah's Ark. And again, it has the whole text all around, basically taken from the Bible in Hebrew, but it tells the whole story. And that's one of my paintings. And I have made a print of this painting. So a lot of my work could be made available as prints. This is what I did years ago when David's mother died, and someone gave me the verse, and it says, Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, and he took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her, and Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. And the picture shows the angel of death and Isaac and Rebekah, and the stripy thing is the tent of his mother. And the interesting thing was Isaac was 40 when he married Rebekah, and David was 40 when we got married. So that's a special painting that I did. And if we have another minute, I'll walk you through my hall and show you a few more. The one I showed you already, which was the wedding picture. And here's a fun one. It's David and Danielle at Passover. And this is my daughter Miriam and my son Danielle.
그 마르타 씨의 그림을 이스라엘이나 미국이나 이런 데서 전시회도 했었습니까?
Yes and yes. I just remembered, I when you said United States, there was exhibits from where I went to college. They did an exhibit for people who had graduated from the arts department at University of Michigan. And here in Israel, a couple years ago, some other believer friends did an exhibit for a number of us. And I exhibited, I think about 6 paintings, and I paired them up with the still lifes and the people ones. The still life that's in the calendar from circumcision.
그러면은 내년에 2023년 유대력으로 5783년에 혹시 마르타 스턴 씨의 여러 가지 작품들을 한국에서도 전시회를 좀 해볼까요?
Oh, exhibit. Oh my gosh. That would be awesome. I spent a lot of my time helping David behind the scenes with his books and his manuscripts. And I read through every one of his manuscripts with him to verify that they were done, right and everything else. And I always did my painting, and I kept saying, when am I going to get myself selling my artwork, going forward with my artwork? And I never did, but this is really exciting for me that you've published the calendar. I'm really excited.
그럼 마르타 스톤 씨도 한국에 오실 수 있다라는 거죠?
Wow, yeah. That's exciting. I was in Korea once only at the airport. Oh, yes, that would be really exciting.
데이비드 H.스턴 남편도 같이 오시는 겁니까? 아니면 혼자 오시는 겁니까?
We are fortunate that we have a caregiver who lives with us and helps us with him. And but you know, the other option would be to have my son come along with me.
그러면 말 나온 김에 데이비드 H.스턴의 건강 상태에 대해서 좀 여쭤볼게요. 지금 상황이 어떻습니까?
As you know, he does have Parkinson's, which is a sad, difficult disease. But you know, every night before we go to sleep, I always say, good night, I love you. And he always says back to me, good night, I love you.
데이비드 씨 건강했으면은 내년에 마르타 씨가 한국에 방문할 때 같이 오셨으면 더 좋을 텐데 그러지 못할 것 같아서 좀 아쉽긴 합니다. 우리 브래드TV 시청자들에게 인사를 좀 해주시죠.
To all those wonderful viewers, I just want to say greetings from Jerusalem. And, you know, when David always, he put on his books, he always wrote, Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, u'devar Adonai me Yerushalayim. And it's for out of Zion will come forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. So I always like just knowing that we in Jerusalem can be greeting you all and sending blessings to you, world, and you in Korea from Jerusalem with all of our hearts.
마음 같아서는 이 달력을 들고 직접 전해드리고 싶은 마음은 굴뚝 같지만 우선은 이렇게 인터넷으로만 화상으로만 이 캘린더가 나왔다라는 것을 전해드리면서 보여드리고요. 조만간 빠른 시간 내에 제가 찾아가서 직접 전해드리도록 하죠. 예루살렘에서 만나든지 아니면 내년에 한국에 오셔서 전시회장에서 만나든지 만날 때까지 건강하시기 바랍니다. 오늘 이렇게 귀한 말씀 나눠주셔서 고맙습니다. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
고맙습니다.
제가 모르던 걸 너무 많이 알게 됐고, 그러니까 말만 듣다가 영화로 보니까 이게 더 많이 알게 되고.
네, 역사와 접목해서 유대인에 대한 잘못된 오해 같은 것들이 영화와 함께 감독님의 강의가 너무 좋았고,
이틀 동안 강의를 들으면서 그동안 알지 못했던 새로운 것도 많이 알 수 있어서 굉장히 감사한 시간이었고, 주변에 제가 배운 내용을 모르는 사람들에게 배운 것을 또 알려주고,
기회만 된다 그러면은 같이 참여하고 싶고 같이 오고 싶습니다.
혼자만 알기가 너무 아깝고 많은 분들과 공유하고 싶은 그런 책임감, 사명감까지 느껴집니다.